Hello, everyone, and welcome to And There You Go, a podcast about life. Whether you're hanging from a cliff by one hand or laughing your ass off, we'll cover it all. And now your co-hosts, Addie and Chad. Hello, Addie.
Hey, Chad.
How are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm just ducky. I don't know what that means, but it always sounded positive.
That is a positive.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to some of our listeners out there that we've heard from. We've gotten some great feedback from some folks. So I'd like to say thank you, Julie. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you to Isaac and Mandy and a whole bunch of other people. Thank you for your support, your kind words. We really appreciate it.
Oh, our parents too.
And our parents, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But you know, as you've listened to the episodes, if you've followed us throughout we've got 15, 16, 17 episodes out now. Something like that. I don't know when this will fit into the sequence of things. Mm-hmm. But listeners will know that we kind of go on a roller coaster ride of topics, meaning some of them are really heavy, some of them are lighter. And, we like to try to mix that up. And we try to do that throughout each episode itself, try to infuse a little bit of humor. And that's just natural between us. We have that the lightheartedness and kind of you have to have that balance. And so this episode is going to be kind of like that. It's going to be a little bit lighter, but I think it's really interesting because it didn't start out as light stuff necessarily.
No, it didn't.
Some of this stuff started out as pretty heavy stuff, but you get to a point that you can actually laugh about it or look at it and kind of tunk yourself on the head and say, what the hell was I thinking doing that?
I know.
And
that's exactly right.
So we're just going to relate some stories that we have along those lines. And
I've got to say that if you get to a point where you can laugh about things like this, you've healed.
Right. And I think that's a huge point.
Yeah, and not everything is laughable.
It's not. No.
Yeah.
I think there's
some things that you'd never laugh about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So and I have some examples of some things like that too as we go through here, but I'm really sharing those from the standpoint of like that perspective of what the hell was I thinking? I mean, it's ludicrous is the word I would put with it. And so we'll talk about some of those as well. So I'm going to tee you up. What's your first example here?
My first example, we share.
Oh, goody.
The chair.
Oh, the chair. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Oh, well, I can start if you want.
Why don't you go ahead?
Okay.
Because you kind of started the whole sequence of events.
I take partial responsibility for this for sure. It was close to my birthday, and Chad was having trouble thinking of things, and I kind of forgot that was the case. And so I saw a chair that I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And I showed Chad. I said, oh.
You saw it online.
I saw it online.
Let's clarify that. Yeah.
Yes, I did. I saw it online. And I just showed it to him quickly and said, that looks kind of cool. I wonder what it would look like in our place or something like that.
And it was a nice color, too. It had a real vibrant blue to it, which would blend very nicely with the colors that we have.
Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, on my birthday night out with you, I got a package. And
a present.
It was a present.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a picture of the chair. Chad had bought the chair for me. It was from China.
Now, to my defense, what you left out was that you actually said to me, oh, this would be a great birthday present.
Did I say that?
You did.
Oh, then this is all my fault.
No, it's not, because I took the action to order the damn thing. which, folks, you might get a sense from my reference to that damn thing as to where this is headed.
Yeah. Go for it, man.
Okay. So I did order it, and I was excited, and I was a little bit hesitant because I thought, okay, where are we going to put it? once it gets here, and I hope it's not too big and bulky, because it looked great, because it was kind of a lounge chair, and it had arms on it that could fold out, so that you could turn it into a lounger. That's
right,
the way that they
bed.
described it. Right. So I ordered it, and I got a confirmation and got some tracking information, and they said I got a notification that it shipped, and so I'm excited, and it's coming.
6 months later.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I got a message says, oh, it's coming from China. It's going to take longer, and we had to actually reset the order and ship it from another location, and so it was going to take a little bit extra long, and it took way longer than what they told me, but it finally arrived. And my concern was, we live on the third floor in a building here where there is no elevator, and the stairway is kind of narrow. It's an older building, and my concern was how is a delivery person going to get it upstairs?
Yeah,
and
I happened to be home that day.
Well, you happened to be home, so you took the delivery. They got it up and in, and I got this message that said, Chad, the chair's here. And I thought, okay, where is it? Where did they leave it? Did they leave it downstairs, or where did they leave it? Because I was concerned it was going to be so big, and I was really worried about if they left it downstairs, how am I going to get it upstairs? And so I said, well, how big is it? Can you take a picture of it? And you said it's in the apartment. I said, oh, okay, so take a picture of it and show me how big it is. And the picture, it was tough to tell for sure how big it was, but it looked small.
And you asked?
Yeah, and I asked.
How heavy is it?
I asked, how heavy is it? And you said, it's not too bad. And I thought, oh, crap. Okay. So I got home. You weren't here when I got home.
I know, and I have to say that it was not computing in my mind the way it was in yours.
Right.
Like, this is small and very light.
Right. And I got home, and I saw the box right as I got into the doorway, and I just moved it a little bit just to see how heavy it was, and it was not heavy.
It wasn't.
It was light. And I delayed opening it because I just kind of figured what was coming. And I ultimately opened it up, and this chair looked exactly like it did in the picture. So visually, they represented it well. But this chair was made for a child.
Which was not in the advertisement.
Which was not in the advertisement, because the way that they had it pictured, they had it amongst other furniture, and it looked proportionate to the other furniture. So it was just really kind of funny, because one of the comments on their website said something about, well, my husband fell asleep in it the other night and slept all night there.
I call bull.
Yes, you did. And so, it's like, so I wrote the company back, and I said, this isn't at all what I was expecting. This is unacceptable. And they said, well, you're welcome to return it, although you have to pay for shipping back to China. So $140, $150. And, it could take a number of months, and we won't refund you until we actually receive it, if they ever receive it. I added that in, because, who knows? And so it's like, screw it. I'll keep it and find a home for it. And we did find a home for it. So here we are, all excited. Yeah, we're all excited. This chair is coming in, and it gets here in this major disappointment, and it cost a fair amount of money.
It did.
And
I feel just terrible.
Well, no,
that.
but see, now this is where it becomes laughable, because it is in hindsight,
It's
now
hilarious.
that I've gotten over it, and we found a good home for the chair.
For a child.
For a child.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Not a guy like me that's 6'5".
Yeah.
So,
you could rest one leg on it.
Right.
If you were going to take a nap.
Right. So there, it wasn't really a tragedy, when you think about the bigger things in life, but it was a major disappointment.
It was.
But it's funny. It's funny. It makes a good story. And as my daughter says, Dad, that's a good story. You should tell it at parties. So. All right, what else you have? What other examples do you have of things that maybe weren't so pleasant when you went through them, but now you can look back and kind of chuckle?
The first time my kids heard me swear,
Oh, that's a good one.
I never was a swearer. You've been a bad influence on me, actually.
I am a
Chad.
cusser. I've got a potty mouth.
It was at a time where we had just moved to the different city, and I was teaching full time and taking college courses, raising 2 kids, doing the whole thing. And on top of it, I was cleaning homes on the weekend, and the kids would come with me. And so they'd sit in the back seat, and I would put all the cleaning supplies in the trunk. And I got all the cleaning supplies in there and then tried to put the vacuum cleaner in, and it wouldn't go. And I was so tired
Yeah.
from everything. And just, I was frustrated and forgot they were in the back seat. And it was nice out, so the windows were down. And I just laid a string of words out that
That a sailor would be proud of.
exactly.
Yes.
And my kids were horrified because they'd never heard me talk like that before. And I was horrified because I didn't talk like that around them.
I've heard you talk like that now.
I know.
On
But-
occasion, not always.
No.
You're pretty clean.
But my kids remember that.
Do they?
tell the story about it
Yeah.
because they were 6 and 8 and just like very shocked.
Yeah, and impressionable.
Hmm.
I have a similar story to that. I was driving with my oldest boy, who was probably about 4 at the time. And in our family, we had rules. You don't call people stupid. You don't call people dumb, so we have rules around that. And if they used that, we would say, Jonah, we don't say stupid, or we don't call people stupid.
We don't call people poop either.
No, we don't. we don't. But we have a rule in our family, Jonah. We don't say this, or we don't say that. So I'm driving, and a guy cuts me off, and this filth and foul and filth comes out of my mouth without remembering that my 4-year-old Jonah is sitting in the back seat in his car seat. And we get past and out of that little episode, and I hear this little cherubic voice from the back seat go, "Dad, I have a new rule. We don't say," and I can't say I'm not going to say the word, but it starts with an F and rhymes with trucker. I have a new rule. We can't say in our family.
Effer.
Yeah, yes. And I was just like, so many things went through my head. It's like I'm just freaking mortified because I knew he was going to go home and tell my wife, and she was going to have words with me. But then on the other hand, I thought, man, he said it with just such authority and conviction. I am proud of my boy.
Exactly.
So, it was just wild.
He was the adult for a few moments.
For a few moments, yes. And so I don't know. I'll have to check with him and see if he remembers that story. So that was fun. So
How about you?
I think, again, with my kids, one of them I have is my third child, Noah, my son. When he was born, we had really easy deliveries for the first 2. I mean, literally within 20 minutes for my daughter, less than that for Jonah. And so we raced to the hospital, knew that it was going to happen fast. And we got there. I was just frantic because I didn't want it to happen in the lobby. And the nurses were just dawdling and taking their time. And I was just, frantic, Dad. And I left my car in the emergency lane, and they weren't moving. They weren't doing anything. And it's like, come on, you guys, you have to get going. You guys don't understand. These kids pop out within minutes of getting to the hospital. And so one nurse said, okay, well, let's get her, into the delivery room or whatever room that we were going to. And sure enough, here comes the kid. And, one of the nurses is just scrambling around. Sir, they're going to tow your car if you leave it in the emergency line. It's like my kid's being born, okay? This is more important than a damn car getting towed. And so, I'm just a frantic dad and knew this was going to happen, and here it's happening. And it was just really stressing me out in the moment. But now, you look back at it and you can kind of laugh at it. He came out and he was healthy, and he was a big kid. He was well over 10 pounds when he came out, and he still came out that fast, just like, pew. So.
Yeah. Well, I can see where you could laugh at that. I try to laugh about my 31 hours of labor and 2.5 hours of pushing, and
and I'm sorry to laugh now
suck
because
him out.
that's really nothing to laugh at. But you're kind of laughing about it right now. Yeah,
because I got the best thing ever.
Yeah,
I've got my children.
Absolutely, absolutely. You got another one over there?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
I've talked a little bit about this before. Like, I've been in abusive situations, and I'm not laughing because that's funny. It's just that I can laugh about this now. I was divorced, and it was at a time where there was still stalking and harassment, and there's a smear campaign going on. And I was alone most of the time. I was very sick, so I only had half of my hair. I was kind of puffy and everything. Doctors still trying to figure out what the hell's going on with me. So I was just maxed out emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of it, from somebody, and I can't remember who, they brought over Christmas candy for me. So I'm alone, and I thought, I'm going to try a little candy. And I bit into the candy. And I'm going through all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And my front tooth breaks off
completely. Oh, no.
Like, completely. So I'm puffed up. I have half my hair, and now I don't even have a front tooth.
I'm sorry to laugh, but it is funny now.
It is funny because,
just one thing piled on another.
And
it's just,
It is. It took a year to fix it. It
really?
took a whole year. I had to wear this flipper tooth. So with my tongue, I could make it, flick. It was just awful. I looked horrible. And then it cost me $5,000
ouch
to replace one tooth.
So if a guy was hitting on you and you really weren't into him, you could just kind of flick your tooth a little bit and he'd just like back off.
No one was interested in me. I had no hair practically.
Oh.
I looked terrible. And now I didn't have a front tooth. So it took a whole year, $5,000. And I also had to go to Target that day. There was no choice. I was out of so much stuff. And so a friend brought over this glue, dental glue, thinking that I could glue my tooth back on. And so I'm trying so hard. I thought it was going to work. I was being really positive.
Yeah.
No.
Didn't work.
So I ended up having to go to Target by myself with no front tooth. And I wore a hat and glasses and kept my head down because I didn't want to run into anybody and have to talk.
Oh, can you imagine?
No.
The shame. That's funny.
I was looking beautiful.
Well, you look beautiful now.
Oh, you're nice. Thank you.
Yeah, my little toothless girl. Oh, I'm kidding. So I have an example here. You kind of said that you were talking about trauma and it's not really something to laugh at necessarily. But I think there's some levity that comes in situations where that can be involved in. And one of them that I have, while it's not really funny, and I want to be serious about the alcoholic part of this story, but I also think that this is a situation where I look back and it's like, what the hell was going through my head, this time? And in a very, very dark way, it's a little bit comical, but I think, it's really an example of how twisted my mind was at that time. So sadly, I drove while intoxicated at times. And this time I had driven out and I suddenly realized I'm in a parking lot that I didn't recognize. I mean, this was in my neighborhood, and I was in a parking lot that I didn't recognize. It looked kind of like a shopping center or maybe a church or, maybe an office complex or something, but I couldn't place it in my mind, and I didn't know how I got there. That's the scary part.
Oh,
Yeah. And so this is a very, very serious, situation. I drove out of that lot and I just started driving and I couldn't figure out where I was. And I kept driving until then I recognized a crossroad and I made my way home. Well, several years later, I figured out where I was. I happened to... It's ironic because there's sirens going in the background
I know,
here.
I was thinking that.
So a little bit of humor tossed in through the universe. Thank you, universe. Where I realized where I was, I had driven into the parking lot of the police station.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. And, shame on me. I mean, really, for real, I was driving drunk, and that is unacceptable. Flat out unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I ironically had driven to the police station is ludicrous, and it is in hindsight a little bit comical. And the irony is just dripping off of that entire situation.
Yeah, just like the sirens right now.
Right, exactly. And so while it's not like, drinking and driving is not a funny thing. That is a dangerous, dangerous thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the irony of ending up in the police station parking lot, that is kind of comical in a very, very dark and twisted way for me. So,
well, thank you for the very dark and twisted story.
Yeah. Do you have something that's a little more light?
I do.
Okay, bring it on.
When I used to teach younger children, there would be Christmas programs every year. And what I learned as a teacher is that you watch for sick children while you're getting ready to get on stage.
Yeah.
Because at least one kid pukes during a Christmas program every single time.
I've seen videos, yes.
Yeah. So the first few years that it happened, I was kind of horrified, almost like it was my fault. But it's honestly hilarious. And I had a video taken one time of one of the Christmas programs, and there was a little boy, cute as a button, right in the front row. They end the second song, and he projectile vomits.
Oh, no.
First row, so he's close to,
Yeah.
the audience, and it just shoots out and goes everywhere. And I brought it home, the video, not the puke. I brought the video home for my family to watch during Christmas time. And oh my God, they laughed so hard. They were crying.
Yeah.
I mean, we all just had tears rolling down our face watching this little kid who's maybe 5 years old projectile vomit all over the front of the stage and into the audience. So
I wonder
yeah.
if those people laugh at that. The parents and the child now laugh at it. I'm sure they do.
I hope they can.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the time, you're kind of horrified if it's your kid. Because sometimes it was my kid.
Right.
I get it.
Right.
But it is funny.
It is. So when you said child, it made me think of a childhood story that I have.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't involve projectile vomit, though.
Okay.
So I remember getting up. It was Saturday morning, and I went down to breakfast, and a couple of my sisters were sitting at the table, and I was going to have some Cheerios. And I remember that very specifically, I think, that for some, well, maybe because this was kind of traumatic for me, but it was a brand new box. And I was sitting there and I was trying to open the box and I couldn't get it open. And finally I just had an outburst, an angry outburst, and slammed the box down and left the table and just walked away from breakfast. And I was just so angry because I was made to look like a fool in front of my sisters, and that's something that as a kid you don't want to do because that sticks with you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it sticks with me because they bring it up every now and then. Hey, Chad, do you remember that time that you got so pissed off because you couldn't get the box of cereal open? It was because you had it upside down and you were trying to open the bottom. And they still rail me on that. So,
Oh, you're pointing at me?
yeah, you're up.
Okay.
Tee it off to you here.
I'd say, well, I went to college, and it was like the first or second day, and you're scared. Everything's new,
Yeah.
and I put on my favorite outfit, and I was ready to go, and I come out of my dorm room, and then there's this crosswalk that all cars and any vehicle of any kind is supposed to stop at this crosswalk for the college students to walk through.
Yeah.
Well, I was coming back from a class, and I stepped off the curb, and I heard somebody scream, "No!" And then I was hit by a bike.
Oh, no.
And the biker came and helped me up and said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I wasn't looking."
Were you hurt?
I was hurt. I was cut up a little, and my whole outfit was ripped up and everything.
Oh, no.
And I'm laying there in the middle of the street. And then my high school boyfriend comes by and just kind of gives me a quick hug and looks like, "What the hell happened?" and took off for his class.
Didn't stay to help you?
Well, I think he could tell that I was so humiliated and embarrassed.
Okay.
And he didn't want to make a big deal over it, but he could tell that I'd been hurt. And I just think, what adult biker says, "Are you okay? I wasn't looking." Because I am so careful on streets, you know that.
Oh, I know that.
Like,
yeah.
I'm kind of scared of traffic and stuff, so
Yes,
it wasn't like...
You've pulled me back from the side of the curb when we're waiting at a light.
Oh, yeah. And I've got a whole story behind that, too. But anyway, what biker does that? And I'm already afraid of streets and traffic and things like that. And I did look.
Mm-hmm.
That it was like it must have been a blind spot. I don't know, but I always do the left, right, left at least once. So it wasn't that I wasn't looking. The biker wasn't looking.
Mm-hmm. Well, he admitted that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did. And I can laugh about it now. When you think about it, it's kind of funny in a way. Because,
right, but if you're new on campus and you're just run over to shreds and, the humiliation and all of that.
Think about what that looked like
Yeah.
to other people.
Oh, sure.
It was a person beside me that screamed no. Like, "No, don't,"
Yeah.
And getting hit by a bike hurts like hell.
Better a bike than a bus.
Yeah.
That's what I always say.
Yeah, at least I lived.
Well, starting now, I'll say it. I never said it before. So, no. So I have another one here.
Okay.
And this one's a little, they start out kind of somber and get comical. So when I finally made the decision in my own mind that I was going to ask for divorce, one of the biggest things that was keeping me from doing that was, how would it impact my kids? Now, let's be clear. My kids were basically grown at the time. Mm-hmm. Two of them were in their mid-20s, and one of them was about to be 20. And, it was really the last big hurdle that I had to reconcile in my mind and in my heart about making this big decision that would affect everybody. And so I made that statement to my now ex-wife, and then we were figuring out how we were going to tell the kids, and we decided to have them come over to the house for dinner. Mm-hmm. And we would tell them collectively rather than one-on-one. And when we sat down to dinner, there was one child, and then my ex, and then another child, and then me, and then another child. And so we were just around the table like that. And so we ate dinner, and then towards the end of dinner, I said, and I was terrified to make this announcement, and my ex didn't want to do it. She told me I should do it, and I was terrified because I could only imagine what it would be like to hear that your parents are getting a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was working my courage up to talk about this and trying to figure out what to say, these feelings just became more and more intense. And so I started my little spiel, and I said, well, so the reason that we wanted you guys to come over for dinner is that we have something to tell you. And as soon as I said that, out of the corner of my eye, I could see my youngest, Noah, starting to smile and almost giggle. And I'm going, what the hell is going on here? And I said, so I just was going to be matter of fact. And I said, your mother and I have decided that we are going to get a divorce. And they all three kids just started smiling and going, yeah, we knew. And it's like, so here I had been so worked up about all this. It's like, well, what do you mean, Well, obviously you guys haven't been getting along for a long time. And Noah said, oh, yeah, Dad, by the way, I saw the divorce papers in your car when I borrowed it the other night.
Oh, wow.
And so, here I am, just all emotional. And I was emotional at that time because I felt it was the end of something. And I was changing the course of my kids' lives in some ways, changing something major in their lives. And I felt horrible about it. And here my kids are laughing about it and saying things like, we just want you and Mom to be happy. And it wasn't nearly as big of a deal. And as I look back on it now, it's hilarious because I thought it was just going to be this huge somber moment, but it was just kind of like, I think it was a relief that it was finally out there, but it was like not at all what I expected.
Right.
But it speaks volumes for my kids and their maturity through this, and they're willing to hear things out and process things appropriately. And so I'm very appreciative that they received that information like that. But it was like not at all what I was expecting. Yeah, we know, Dad.
Wow.
So
that's something.
Yeah. So I know it can be real traumatic for kids at any age, really, but again, I think they saw it coming. So
yeah. Wow. Well, do you have more?
Well, I have another one. Yeah.
I do too.
It has to do with you and me.
Oh.
And this is when we first met 2 years ago. This was, I think it was, I don't remember if it was the first time we were, I think it was the first time that we had met. Mm-hmm. But we had a couple of days together because you had come in from about 200 miles away. Yes. And you were visiting somebody else there as well. And ended up spending some time together. And you were over at my place, and we were sitting out on the balcony, and I wouldn't let you leave. And you were wondering about that, and we've talked about that a little bit before, I think. Yeah. And the reason that I didn't want you to leave was because I was trying to muster up the courage, because I really liked you, and I was really, really attracted to you, and all of that stuff. And I didn't want it to the night to end, and not that I was trying to, get you in the sack or anything like that, but I just wanted to spend more time with you. And then we kind of wrapped things up, and I was walking you down to the car, and there's a pond at the place that I lived at the time, and it had a fountain in it. And, it was a decent sized pond. Yeah, it was a very pretty area. And so I just, to prolong things and to try to muster up the courage, and I was terrified at this point. I didn't want to overstep bounds. I wasn't sure of myself. I was like a schoolboy going through this the first time, that crazy feelings that I hadn't felt in years. Butterflies. Yes, absolutely. Big butterflies too. So I suggested we take a walk around the pond just to extend the night. And I was just thinking, I want to hold her hand. I want to hold her hand, but I don't dare. What if she doesn't like it? And so I finally found myself, all of a sudden, I'm just turning to you and say, do you mind if I hold your hand?
It was so sweet.
I was so terrified. And you said yes, and I put my hand in yours. I mimicking the motion right now, but I can still feel that in the moment. And it's like, oh my God, I want to kiss her. I want to kiss her. Do I dare? Do I dare? And I didn't ask you about that one. I just grabbed you and laid one on you. But it was just, I was so terrified in the moment, and I was trying to do everything right and not scare you off and not do anything improper, and we can laugh about it now.
We can laugh about it now. And you didn't scare me off, obviously.
No, obviously not. So, but that was just kind of comical.
I have so many things I laugh about. I laugh a lot.
Yeah, you do. But that's okay. That's good.
I actually look for things to laugh about.
Yeah.
And
well, with me around, you don't have to look very far.
No. Chad can do different voices, and he gets me till I can't even stop laughing because he's so funny. Maybe someday I can talk you into doing that.
Maybe.
When my kids were in high school, and my son was getting ready to go to college, I told my son that I was going to get him a car for college, and that he would hand down his car that he had right then to his sister.
Yep.
And so we got the new car, and he drove it into the garage, and then my daughter drove her car, which had just been my son's car, but now was hers, drove in behind. And they came in and they were excited, and then there was somewhere that they needed to go. I can't remember what it was. And my son said to Mandy, well, I'm a better driver, so I'll drive. And she was kind of ticked off, but she just let it go, and she got in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
And he backs up into my daughter's car.
Oh, no.
Because he's a better driver.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, the better driver. Yeah, I'm going to show you, too.
And I was watching because there's a door that led into the garage. So I'm watching this happen, and it's a slow crunch.
Oh, no.
And I was a really tired mom at that point.
Yeah. Did they hear you cuss like a sailor again at that?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, here's what I did. They looked at me with huge eyes like, what's going to happen now?
Yeah.
And I just looked at them, and I turned around, and I closed the door and walked away. Because I just had it.
Classic.
It was like, really? Really?
Oh, boy.
So my daughter, nothing happened to my son's car.
Yeah.
But my daughter's front part was crunched, and I couldn't afford to fix it, so she had to drive around with that crunched side. Because my son's the better driver.
Too funny.
And both my kids are good drivers.
Yeah.
It's just something that happened.
Right. But you can laugh about it now.
Oh, sure.
So I think with that, we are about at the end of this episode. But I think it's really important to, as you're going through even the tough times, know that, maybe sometimes there's going to be something coming out of it that eventually that you can laugh at it. Mm-hmm. And I think, even in the tough times, kind of like you said before, is that when you are able to start looking at it from a lighter perspective, maybe even laugh about it, or maybe see the irony in it, you know that you're healing from it.
Yeah.
And so...
And there are things that just are never laughable.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. But to the extent that you can, and, I think what it really is being able to put it into perspective down the road at some point in time. And if you can get a chuckle out of it, all the better.
Absolutely.
And there you go.